It's the whiteout at State College, number 10 Penn State, number 16 Michigan. This is Jim Harbaugh's second road game against a ranked opponent. The first one did not go well. It was 35-14 to Wisconsin that they lost earlier this year. And candidly, it wasn't as close as that would make it sound. And so there's been some discussion. Acho, I want you to sort of put this in perspective. How would you describe the ramifications of this weekend's game for Michigan?
This game is huge. It's Jim Harbaugh's biggest game against an opponent not named Ohio State. Put that into perspective. If they lose this game, Greeny, their goals for the season are over. College football player, you go into the season, you want to win your conference, then you want to make it to the playoffs, and then you want to win a championship. Well, Michigan, Wolverines, if you all lose, all those goals are done, and that is it. So for Michigan, this game is the game of all games. It's a must-win.
I thought Feinbaum put it well yesterday. He said Harbaugh will lose all credibility. Going forward in college football. And that's an interesting way to put it, because I don't believe he'll get fired. If you're Michigan, you don't fire Jim Harbaugh. Where are you going from there? But at this point, I think they have managed to maintain the illusion that they are an elite program. And if they win this weekend and then they beat Notre Dame the following weekend, well, now, all that is back on again. But if they lose these two games, I don't know how you even try to pretend that anymore.
You don't. If they lose this game and that following game, you can't even utter Harbaugh in that same category as elite or as excellent. The reason being, Harbaugh's the third highest paid head coach in college football behind Saban and Dabo. Yet he does not have that same production. If they find a way to lose, he's not elite. He's not excellent, and everybody has to stop trying to assume he is because he coached at the big house or a big place like Michigan. We want them to be great, but Harbaugh's let the team down.
There is a lot at stake in that game this weekend for both teams, candidly. Meanwhile, Acho always gives us a couple of trap games to keep a close eye on, and this week they both come from the SEC. The first one, Florida, South Carolina.
Yeah, to me, Greeny, you got to date everything. Two years back, Ohio State played Penn State, number 6 versus number 2, and that was a huge game. Ohio State wins 39-38. Well, what happens, Greeny, is after such a big game, the next week you have a letdown. So now to your point, Florida, South Carolina. Florida lost to LSU last week. They are still emotionally, physically drained from that loss. I think that after losing to LSU, there's a little bit of a letdown. I mean, how can you recover both? You just got in a dog fight, and now you have to bounce back. And mind you, you're going against the South Carolina team coming off the biggest win, Greeny, in my opinion, in South Carolina history. You beat Georgia, the number 3 team in the nation. I talked to Will Muschamp, head coach of South Carolina. He has a new rejuvenation. You can see him right there about to jump into one of his coaches or players' arms. There he is. The glasses are coming off. That's my man, Will Muschamp. So that's my first trap game.
Well, and then the other one involves the other side of the LSU-Florida showdown. Why is LSU on a list?
LSU put it on Florida last week. We saw that. Everybody knows how good Joe Burrow is with the help of Justin Jefferson at receiver, with the help of Joe Brady, new offensive analyst. We know exactly how good LSU has been. But just sooner or later, Greeny, you might have an emotional letdown. This is where LSU has to prove they are elite and can do it week in and week out. My question is, can they sustain this extremely high level of excellence? I'm not convinced Mississippi State can beat them, but I think if you're LSU, you got to watch out, because this for sure is a trap game.
I agree with you. Sometimes teams build games up. It becomes like your Super Bowl. And whether you win it or you lose it, it is hard to get up to play a big game the following week. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports, highlights, and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.